Good evening. This is the Guilford Board of Education. It is Monday, March 9th. This is our regular meeting, and I invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I am going to ask for a motion to add a very brief executive session at the end of the meeting for an update on pending litigation.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that will be,
Superintendent.
yes, it will include the superintendent. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So that will happen after 12, it'll become item 13. All right. We have a number of minutes here. The first is to act on the minutes of January 27th, 2026. This was the first of the two public forums we held. Is there a motion to approve these minutes? So moved.
Second.
All right. I first want to note that our wonderful minute taker was recording 8 and 9 and 10 pages of minutes. So the fact that we might have a couple of corrections is completely understandable. Are there any comments or corrections to these minutes? Again, we're on the Tuesday, January 27th minutes.
On page 4, where it's the paragraph that starts Mrs. Peck.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just a bunch of words that are doubled up.
Okay.
So Mrs. Peck, it probably should be Mrs. Peck noted.
Yep.
Or questioned. I don't know which, the cost per Chromebook. I bet it's questioned or noted. I don't know. Kristen, what do you think? What's your comment?
I think questions is fine.
Okay.
Okay, so take out noted and noting.
I mean, I guess it makes sense because we were kind of noting it in the book and then questioning if that was
Right.
correct.
Yeah. And then the cost.
Questioning is fine because that was the point of it.
Yeah, and then eliminating per cost. So should we Mrs. Peck question the cost per Chromebook?
Right,
Yeah.
that makes more sense.
Oh, right. While we're on that page, at the very first line on page 4, I believe that should read, and I'll carry it over from the page before. Dr. Freeman noted that purchase services is primarily buying a service or a vendor. I think should be or.
Or maybe it was from a vendor.
Oh, that would make even more sense. From.
Yep.
And then towards the bottom of the page, Dr. Balstracy offered another opportunity for public forum. She also reminded the public that they can send in questions. And then I think we do have a couple duplicate words in the next sentence. Board members can also send her questions, which she will compile, cross out them, and forward, cross out them to Mrs. Trudeau. On page, sorry, now I'm going to go back a little bit. On page 1, under number 2, about 4 sentences in, the first meeting had to be postponed because of the storm, and then cross out meetings. So now the second public forum will be held. Sorry, this is a long one. On page 3, about halfway down, Dr. Freeman, that paragraph, the second sentence. The reality is that approximately, that should say 80% of this budget is contained in salaries and benefits.
A double N.
And there's a double N. On page 5 at the top. Dr. Hirsch noted that each percent of reduction of the budget is about 800,000. So if the board wanted to get from, the word some needs to be removed and replaced with from.
A little bit further in that paragraph, Dr. Hirsch's name is misspelled.
Oh, I missed that.
3-4 lines
Oh, there we
down.
go, right, halfway down.
And then in that same sentence, it would, some words are missing. I wrote have and, so Dr. Hirsch noted that it would have an even bigger impact to go below 6.1%. Does that make sense, Terry?
And then the last correction I have is at the very, very bottom of page 8. If the board is not ready for a vote, there could be another meeting on Thursday, February 5th. We actually didn't end up having one, and at that time we were considering it. So will should be crossed out and could. Others?
Back up to page 7.
Yeah.
Last paragraph should read in response to a question by Dr. Balistraci.
Oh, thank you.
And further up, halfway through the paragraph that starts with Dr. Balistraci, talking about the annual site improvements is a very small discretionary primarily preventative maintenance fund, comma, his line. I think his line should be eliminated.
Yeah, yep,
Mhm.
just put the period after fund, you're right.
And I do have some on page 8.
Okay.
Are you ready? The first full paragraph, the last line, I think we don't need the word moving. There will be a 10-year maintenance calendar, either moving forward or provided.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's supposed to say there will be a 10-year maintenance calendar provided as a result of the study. I don't think we need the word moving.
Moving, right, yeah.
And then in the paragraph, starting with Michael Faulkner, 5th line down. And it is important that we provide quality health care for employees. There's adequate health care. I think that should be crossed out and leave
Yeah.
it with quality health care.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
And then the promise, this is the last one. The paragraph that starts with Dr. Hirsch, the very last sentence, in addition, the town is able to know exactly where every dollar is going. You could strike out where, because, when the insurers.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I promise you, that was it.
Lots and lots and lots of people talking
Yeah, that was a
at a
long-
very long meeting.
Yes.
Does anybody else have any? All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the Tuesday, January 27th, 2026 Board of Education public forum on the budget. All in favor of approving the minutes as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed and any abstentions? All right. One down. The second is Thursday, January 29th, also Guilford Board of Education Budget Forum. I will note that I was just checking with Dr. Freeman. I don't know if other people have thoughts, but we may need to pause these minutes because there are a number, starting on page 2 with Chromebook costs. There are a number of times where I'm noted as giving detailed information on budget lines that I suspect were either Ms. Trudeau or Dr. Freeman.
Why don't we table that one and we'll check?
So does anyone have concern if we table that?
No, that makes
Okay.
sense. I see what you're saying.
Yep, you know what I mean?
It reads as you.
And this was, I believe it's probably Dr. Freeman presenting all that information from his list,
We can double check that.
but we'll double check that. So
The
we're
only
gonna
other
hold
thing
on that.
So this is why I thought Mr. Mitchell's name was misspelled in the other meeting.
Yes.
So it is definitely misspelled here under the Chromebook costs, so.
Okay, well, we will
That's
get
what I
that. February 2nd, okay, so is there a motion to approve the Monday, February 2nd, 2026 Board of Education special meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or corrections on these minutes?
Yeah, page 4. Very first paragraph. Ms. Baldwin expressed, I think you need the word concern. Or something along those lines, reducing the interventionist
Mhm.
positions.
Yep.
And then the second sentence starting with however, Dr. Freeman thinks, it just says he.
Yeah,
I'm not a he, so at least I don't. Think that's what it referred to as Dr. Freeman
yes,
thinks it'd
I
be
think that
easier.
was me. Yes,
Yeah.
that was me responding.
I had on page 8, the paragraph under budget deliberations. A proposal is made to agree in principle to a number to be labeled as group 1, so at should be as.
Sorry, where are you?
So there's the budget, page 8, budget deliberations, the next paragraph, first sentence. A proposal was made to agree in principle to a number to be labeled as group 1. When we had started talking about budget items.
I think that principle should also be TOE.
Oh. Yeah, so much to look at that you missed the, that's right.
In the third paragraph, that starts with Dr. Hirsch. Identified a second cluster of options which include teachers. I think you can remove
Oh,
the second teachers.
Yep,
Coaches, interventionists, which he would not recommend rather than nor.
right.
Yeah, we talked a lot.
On page 9. The second full paragraph, Dr. Tracy noted there was a discussion on efforts to avoid cutting positions. The last sentence there, currently the budget is down by 8 positions. I'm gonna ask to strike a total 7 of which are teaching positions, because all 8 are teaching positions. And then, the second to last paragraph. Dr. Tracy summarized the current position of the board as being in agreement about a $282,850 reduction in tuition.
Are you on 3.2 or 3.3?
3.3.
3.3.
We tabled 3.2.
She went,
Yep.
yeah.
Got it.
And then on page 10 at the very top, just again, making that correction to the dollar amount to be $282,850 in reductions.
The only other one I saw was on page 7,
Okay.
the very bottom, assistant to the athletic director position. The first sentence just doesn't read right, and I don't know what the intention was, so I don't want to make a suggestion.
Yeah, so I believe it should just read, Dr. Freeman noted that this position was filled this year.
Oh, this year.
And then
And then
And
it
then
just be a
strike that
period for
person.
the first sentence.
you don't need the
You don't need
person.
the person.
Are there any other suggested corrections to these minutes?
I noticed one, I'm not sure of the page number, it's page 27 in our entire packet. At the top, it reads 3 special meetings of the Board of Education, February 2026.
What's the number before special meeting?
3 dash.
Oh, 3, so page 3. Yep.
Okay, it says, Dr. Freeman noted there are several items on this list that I will suggest we can take out of the budget. I don't know whether we need quotes around what he's noted or take out the first person there and change it.
Oh, that he will suggest. Okay. Any other corrections? All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the Monday, February 2nd, 2026 Guilford Board of Education special meeting minutes. All in favor of approving them as amended, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? None. All right, thank you. And then lastly, the February 9th, 2026 Guilford Board of Education regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve? So,
Second.
any comments or corrections to that? I'm gonna note on page 3, under communications, Dr. Balstracy noted that the board had received correspondence indicating support for the cheerleading team. And then I'm gonna suggest striking the word "for" there and put "and providing input on the coaches and interventionists," because we got varying comments through email on those topics. And then I had on page 6, there are 2 references to district textbooks, and I just want to correct the number. So second paragraph, the board members discussed the textbook line included on the worksheet. It has been suggested that the $237,500 for district textbooks could be deferred. And then 2 paragraphs down, Dr. Freeman noted that the board agrees in the second line, the textbook line would add another $235,500. And then my last is to actually fill in the blanks at the bottom of page 8. Under number 13. So under executive session, on a motion made by Mr. Delaventura and seconded by Dr. Hirsch, the board voted to adjourn to open session at 9:40 p.m. And then underneath that, on a motion made by Ms. Baldwin and seconded by Mrs. Peck, the board voted to adjourn the meeting at 9:41 p.m. Any other comments, additions, corrections? We thought it was going to be a short meeting, but
Yes.
hey.
It's work.
I mean, each one of these was 10 pages
Oh,
long.
very,
This is-
very,
Great job.
long, very long. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the Monday, February 9th, 2026 Guilford Board of Education meeting minutes as amended, please say aye.
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 I'll abstain.
You abstain.
Oh,
Ms.
yeah.
Fenelon will abstain.
Oh,
Wait, should we?
I just noticed that Miss Goggins' name is
Well, that
misspelled.
happens all the time.
I know, in life. Sorry, but thank you.
So I'm sorry, we have 8 in favor and then 1 abstention. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Excellent. We are at number 4 on the agenda, which is public comments for topics on the agenda. We welcome anyone who would like to comment to the board to come up to the podium. Please give your name and address. And please keep your comments within 3 minutes. Again, this is for topics on the agenda. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the board? All right, I'm seeing none. Review and approval of expenditures for the month of February 2026. I was the reviewer, so we'll report out the following. Expenditures for the month of February, that should say 2026. were $5,806,821.21. Expenditures and encumbrances through the end of February were 62.37% of the budget as compared to 63.72% in the 2024-25 academic year. Revenue for February 2026 was $616,541.36, which includes $558,605 for the excess cost grant, $698.86 for non-resident tuition, $56,527 for pre-K tuition, and $710.50 for Medicaid. Among our various budget categories, all were either in line or lower than the prior year in terms of proportional expenditure. So salaries, employee benefits, and transportation were in line with the prior year at this time, and purchase services, tuition, supplies and materials, and capital were lower. We did in detail discuss the financial report and the warrants in the operations committee meeting just prior to this meeting. The warrant we are submitting is a total of all payments for the month listed alphabetically and totals $2,022,150.10. Is there a motion to approve the February 2026 financial reports?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion, questions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstentions? None. All right, thank you. Communications. Does anyone have communications to report out? Got a little quiet, I think, after all the great input on the budget. Student representatives. How are you guys tonight?
Good. How are you?
Thank you. Turning it over to you.
I know. Okay, so Adams just had their annual Witness Stones Gallery Walk, which was last week to celebrate the 8th grade student social studies curriculum and to give students the opportunities to share their work with other students as well as their other teachers. This week, Adams is also hosting the Iron Giraffe Volleyball Challenge, which is to raise money for water in Sudan after a lot of the 8th graders just finished reading A Long Walk to Water. The students at Adams will also be leading their parent-teacher conferences this spring, which is their first time doing a student-led parent-teacher conference where they'll be sharing their accomplishments and their work from the spring with their parents. At Calvin Lee concerts this Thursday, and the 3rd and 4th graders will be performing their concerts next Thursday. They also have their art night out coming, which is March 20th at the Guilford Yacht Club. This night will be filled with art, auctions, raffles, and aims to celebrate our amazing school community. Teachers Amanda Shine and Hannah Callanan are creating a garden with their grade 1 students. They would like the garden to be an outdoor classroom for students to observe nature, connect learning to the environment, and be a space to develop mindfulness. Native plants will attract birds and pollinators, and benches, bird feeders, and other features will make this space inviting for student learning. At A.W. Cox this week, the students had a blast during the Reading Across America week. Students engaged in buddy reading with other classes and read together as an entire school community, and they're also doing an amazing job at mastering the gymnastics unit in PE. Lastly, at Guilford High School, the Italian program had an amazing trip to Taormina, Sicily. The students immersed themselves into Italian culture, participating in language classes Monday through Friday, including educational and enriching excursions in the afternoons. Due to the blizzard, our flights did get canceled, but we were able to rebook them and get home safely. Prof. Fazio, Prof. Becker, and Senora Jones did an amazing job at keeping our trip enjoyable by doing the most they could. We did trips to the beach, went to multiple Greek amphitheaters, farms, and most excitingly, we hiked Mount Etna, which is the most active volcano in Europe with an elevation of 11,000 feet. I, along with the other students on this trip, are so grateful to have had this amazing opportunity and thank the board as well as Pro Fazio for allowing us to have this life-changing opportunity. And we're also having SATs on the 31st.
That's quite the pivot.
That's like podcast right there. Don't miss that.
Yeah, so at Lakes, the fourth grade students in the library, they designed zip lines. So they conducted experiments about the time it took for their cup to make it to the ground. And they had fun like making adjustments to their designs to learn about how like friction, slope, and gravity can impact speed. Little physics. The fourth graders also enjoyed a visit from the zookeepers at the Beardsley Zoo, who shared the unique physical characteristics of some of their animals that help them to survive. So thank you to the PTO for a great real life experience to complement the Animal Defense Mechanism unit. Officer, I'm gonna mispronounce it, I'm sorry. Nessie. Nessie, sorry, thank you. And Miss Lipinski delivered internet safety lessons to the 3rd and 4th grade students. And then for GHS, I'm sure you guys heard at the beginning a little bit of like cheering and yelling. We have intramural volleyball starting up, which is a really fun kind of way for different grades to get to know each other, have some fun, kind of like get out of the house, especially in the winter with all the snow. Go like have fun with classmates and friends. Spring sports are starting up. A lot of us were out, like Grace and I were out today for lacrosse on the field, which is fun. And then the musical, they're working really, really hard. And the entire GHS community and Guilford community is very excited to see the work that they put in.
Dr. Freeman, I know we talked about this a little bit in operations, but Grace has noted the delay of getting students back from Italy, but I understand the host families were really amazing in continuing to support our students past their expected stay.
Everybody involved was really amazing. The students, and I would say particularly their parents who were on this side of the Atlantic Ocean, were patient and understanding if worried. The organization that we worked with and the host families back in Italy went above and beyond to keep our students accommodated and safe and active during that week that was unplanned. And then the chaperones and the administrative team here back in Guilford High School were just on the phones constantly, talking to each other, talking to students, talking to parents, talking to host families, travel agents, airlines, insurance companies. It was a lot, and I just appreciate everybody from the travelers themselves all the way through for making the best of what was a challenging situation at best. And I know there will be lots of jokes about students being stranded in Italy for an extra week, but it was a lot, and it was probably more stressful on the parents and administrators back in Guilford than it was on the travelers themselves, but.
Program that we went through, Babylonia, which is the language school, they hosted us every morning. That like we were there extra from 10 to 1 to do. We just sat on their patio and we all did schoolwork.
Oh, that's
did
terrific.
catch-up work. We emailed our teachers. We met with each of the chaperones to kind of just let them know what we're missing out on, what we're stressed out about. That was really great, and they still were able to. Our host families were able to maintain us. My host family in particular was amazing. We had a lady named Donatella. She didn't speak any English, but we were all kind of able, I think we learned a lot just from dinners with her. And she was able to accommodate for the 5 of us that were staying there at her house. So
That's a lot of extra people.
Our group didn't get to leave, but the next group flew in on time. And so the school, the organization, and the host families had 2 groups for the extra week.
yeah, so there was another Babylonia class after us.
Okay.
So they flew in. There was, I think, one host that had the Babylonia, the new ones come in. So we had to rotate a few people around.
Okay.
But it worked out because we had to take 3 separate flights home in 3 different groups. So one of the groups left on Tuesday. And then my group left Thursday, and then the other group left Saturday. But the group that left Tuesday, their host family was able to take in the Babylonia, the new
Right,
ones.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, we
Yeah.
could not get them all on one flight out. It was a lot.
Well, if that isn't something you will remember forever, right? Excellent. Well, thank you. Any other questions for our wonderful student
Thank you.
reps? Nice to be outside today for lacrosse. That's a little unexpected in
Really,
the
in
weather.
shorts and like tank tops.
Right?
It was hot. It was even funnier because it was like 70 degrees and there was just like a mountain of snow.
There's a little disconnect as you're running around.
That was a little weird.
Excellent. Well, thank you both. Always welcome to stay, but we certainly understand that you both have busy schedules, so feel free to leave as well.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Great, thank you. All right, number 8, superintendent's report. Dr. Freeman.
I'd be very brief tonight. I just wanted to note, with appreciation that the Board of Finance concluded their deliberations last Thursday evening. We in fact had time scheduled for tonight for part of this board and part of the leadership team to be with the Board of Finance if that were necessary. And fortunately, that becomes unnecessary. So we get to be here with you tonight. I do want to note for the community that the conclusion of this budget. The conclusion of budget work to date is not the conclusion of the budget process here in town yet. So ultimately, the budget that the leadership team and I brought to this Board of Education, when we presented it to you that first week in January, it was a budget that sat at a 7.13% increase. That was after I had made more than a $500,000 reduction specifically in staffing as part of that budget. Through your deliberations as a board, you reduced that budget further by an additional $654,000, bringing what was sitting at a 7.13% increase in my first draft down to a 6.25% increase, and reducing that original budget by now a total of $1.2 million. Thursday evening, in their very thoughtful deliberations, the Board of Finance that addressed both the town budget as well as the school budget and did reduce both, reduced our school board budget by a further $300,000. This now brings this budget, as it prepares to move to the town and ultimately to the voters, to now be sitting at approximately a 5.85% increase, with reductions totaling more than $1.5 million from that initial starting point that we would have liked to have brought to the Board of Ed and to the community. That's all to say that this is the closest thing to a maintenance budget that we have ever put together, at least at my time in Guilford Public Schools. So this board still has work. This board needs to identify where we will make line item reductions to absorb that $300,000 reduction made by the Board of Finance last Thursday evening. We'll need to do some work to schedule a time to do that. Right now, we are thinking that possibly we will fit a special meeting in between your curriculum committee meeting and your workshop meeting this month, where you meet with teachers for your annual roundtable conversation 2 weeks from tonight. But we will clarify that date. We will post that meeting and we will make that public so that the public gets to see where those final reductions will be made. And then this budget moves forward to the voters. And I would strongly encourage the voters to understand that we recognize that while many people may not be excited about this budget, while some people may not even like some of the decisions that were made to craft this budget, it at this point, I think, is the best budget that we are going to see in a specifically challenging budget year, with some really specific pressures on our budget that are coming from the outside. So we'll be making time to visit with the PTOs. We'll be pushing information out. I would encourage community members to watch the budget meetings, both Board of Education and Board of Finance, that are all archived and available through GCTV and on the YouTube channels, to understand that this difficult budget is still a good budget that will protect the services specifically that the schools provide. And I encourage voters to go out and vote for this budget, which I believe will be on April 21st at referendum. It's really important that we don't stop the work here. And it's really my full report for the evening.
So, oh, go right
Yeah,
ahead.
related.
No,
Dr. Freeman, in light of all of the snow days, do
Yes.
you mind publicly announcing the end of school dates? We've
Hey.
seen a lot of questions online, and I think that would be a great clarification.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's nice to talk about something that's not, although actually, I don't know, snow has some budget implications. So we have experienced 4 snow days this year. Currently, while graduation is still scheduled to take place, I know I have the calendar in front of me, on
18th.
Friday, June 12th.
Oh, sorry.
The
Yeah.
final day of school, which will now fall after graduation, will be on Thursday, June 18th. Barring any other emergency closings for the rest of this school year. So the calendar has been updated. The 4 days that were canceled for snow are now shown on the calendar with X's through those dates. And the correct final date has been moved forward. Really important to note that it does not change graduation date for our seniors. We very much appreciate the change the state made a few years ago that we don't have to keep moving graduation date every time we have another snow closing. So those plane tickets are still good. We still expect to see relatives here on the green on the 12th. Thank you.
And you did mention, that this wasn't a budget discussion, but as we discussed in operations, we've seen some significant bills for snow removal. That's gonna
Yes.
add up.
It's the most snow removal that we have engaged in probably in the last 7 or 8 years. And so that will have an impact on this year's budget. It won't be on next year's budget, but it will have an impact. We tend to look back at the last 3 or 4 winters when we decide how to budget for snow. So this year it means that we have overexpended our snow removal
We're
budget.
seeing that everywhere.
Yeah.
It's also useful to know that while our budget's going up 5-point-something%, the tax rate will go up in the mid 4s. Won't be as high as our budget is.
No, I
I
think
believe that the aim was to, yeah, right,
to keep it close to
4, just above 4. No, I
Yep.
think that's right.
And again, I think really valuable for people to watch those Board of Finance meetings, because while it's a difficult year for expenditures, there was some good news in the town on the revenue side, on the grand list side. And so it's worth watching those meetings to get a much fuller understanding of expenditures, which we talk about, but also revenues, which the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen do a really good job monitoring as well.
And Dr. Freeman, you noted when the referendum would be, there is, as part of the town charter, Guilford Town Charter, there is a town meeting on April 7th in the gymnasium.
Yes.
Here at the high school, which is part of the process of sending the budget
To vote.
out to the voters. There is an opportunity, if there's a significant number of folks, to try to alter that budget. So, again, it is a place, if this budget is important to you, to make sure that, that you are present. All right, anything else on that? All right, number 9, 9.1 is to act on personnel items. We are being asked to ratify the resignation of the following teachers: Nicole Ferrara, Guilford Lakes Elementary School, 12 years of experience. Effective March 11th, 2026, and Jinjin Lundy, Cox Elementary School, grade 2 teacher, 27 years of experience, effective on June 30th, 2026. Is there a motion to ratify the resignation of these 2 teachers?
So moved.
Any questions? I do have a question. Will there then be a permanent sub? Oh, I'm sorry, special education teacher. Dr. Freeman, the first is a March 11th resignation.
Yes, we will work on covering that. I would have to touch base with Mr. Scanziano
Sure.
or with Principal Ryan to know specifically, but we'll obviously make sure that we cover that through the interviews.
All right, so there's a motion and second, all in favor of the ratification of these 2 teachers. Sorry, the resignation, ratifying the resignation of these 2 teachers. Please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So a thank you to both of them for their service to Guilford Public Schools. We're also being asked to ratify the retirement of the following teachers: Nancy Mitchell, Baldwin Middle School, grade 6 language arts teacher, 36 years of experience, and Corey Slifstein, Adams Middle School, grade 7 science teacher, 34 years of experience. Just
70 years.
and
Yes.
extraordinary contributions to Guilford Public Schools. Is there a motion to ratify the retirement of these two teachers?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Shirley, a thank you, to the, in fact, one of them is my neighbor, so I'll have to walk next door and say thank you in person. All right. 9.2 is to approve a donation of $1,346 from the Guilford High School Music Boosters for Music and Mentors Advisor at Baldwin. Is there a motion to approve this donation?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Or abstentions? All right, another opportunity for me to thank specifically the Guilford High School Music Boosters and all the parents and community members involved, but really to all the parents, guardians, community members involved in supporting our students in booster clubs and so many other ways. All right, 9.3, we do this every year, is to act on participation in the healthy food option. The healthy food certification is a process by which districts that participate receive additional state funding to allow the Connecticut nutritional standards for all foods sold to students separately from reimbursable school meals. Again, every year we vote for our participation in the healthy food certification program, and we're being asked to vote on two separate votes. The language has to be exact for the vote. So I am going to read through the language for each vote, and I can provide you, Terry, with exact, I have it already. Wonderful. All right. So both of these votes are required. Vote 1 is the required vote for participation in healthy food option of HFC. So this is the motion we are going to be voting on. What's that?
We're all set.
Okay. Pursuant to Connecticut General Standards, Section 10-215F, the Guilford Public Schools certifies that all food items offered for sale to students in the schools under its jurisdiction and not exempted from the Connecticut nutrition standards published by the Connecticut State Department of Education will comply with the Connecticut nutrition standards during the period of July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. This certification shall include all food offered for sale to students separately from reimbursable meals at all times and from all sources, including but not limited to school stores, vending machines, school cafeterias, culinary programs, and any fundraising activities on school premises sponsored by the school or non-school organizations and groups. Is there a motion for this vote?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
No, but can I just make a comment?
Yes, you may.
In the first line, you said Connecticut General Standards, it's Connecticut General Statutes. I don't think it makes a difference, but
Oh, that is important.
but I
That
thought,
is-
yeah,
So if we could record it as Connecticut General Statutes.
Sorry,
Yep,
that's
thank
okay.
you.
I just
I
want.
had the standards right underneath
Yep.
there and just kept reading.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's important. All right, the second vote is to allow for food and beverage exemptions. This also has to be read exactly. So I'm going to be asking when I'm done for a motion and a second for the following. The Guilford Public Schools will allow the sale to students of food items that do not meet the Connecticut nutrition standards and beverages not listed in section 10-221Q of the Connecticut General Statutes, provided the following conditions are met. Number one, the sale is in connection with an event occurring after the end of the regular school day or on the weekend. 2, the sale is at the location of the event. And 3, the food and beverage items are not sold from a vending machine or school store. An event is an occurrence that involves more than just a regularly scheduled practice, meeting, or extracurricular activity. For example, soccer games, school plays, and interscholastic debates are events, but soccer practices, play rehearsals, and debate team meetings are not. The regular school day is the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. Location means where the event is being held and must be the same place as the food and beverage sales. Is there a motion for this statement?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? All right, thank you. 9.5 is to receive possible action on the custodial contract. Our custodial bargaining unit has signed this, I believe, and it is coming to us. Dr. Shayu, who's gonna be, are you? Thank you.
You're welcome. Make this-
Sharing the details.
Yes, so myself and Dr. Hirsch, along with members of the district, were on these negotiations.
Miss Peck.
Oh, was Kristen?
Yeah.
Okay, and Ms. Peck, sorry about that. And we were not able to come to an agreement short of mediation, but we had a very successful mediation. The custodians in the union, we followed their due process. But it was still really collaborative even through the mediation process. So the highlights are wage increases of 3%, 3.25%, and 3.25% each year. These are all retroactive to July 1st, 2025, because that's when the contract was up. There have been increased deductibles for insurance of but all within normal standards, I would say. And there was a change in the new hire starting pay. So if someone starts with Guilford Public Schools in the first year of employment, they get a 10% less or 5% less now. They used to get 10% less than the full pay. Now it's 5% less than the full pay just for the first year. And once they are full members of Guilford Public Schools, they get same as everybody else. So those are just some of the highlights.
There were some other relatively minor language changes, all of which were noted in the red line copy that board members received for your preview.
Does anyone on the board have any questions, having reviewed that copy? All right, so we are being asked to vote on this custodial contract. Is there a motion to support the custodial contract as negotiated?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you to the board members who were involved in that. 9.6 is to receive the 24-25 annual report. Dr. Freeman, do you have anything to add on the topic of that annual report?
This is an annual report that we are required to deliver to the Board of Education. It requires no action on your behalf. I would encourage you to take a look at all that occurred, and I would like to specifically thank Tracy Brinkman for all of her work on compiling this report. It's the first time that she did it for us on the school side, and really appreciated all of her efforts pulling all that various information together.
Wonderful. Did anyone have any comments or questions about that report?
this is the school year, 24-25 school year?
Correct.
Yeah.
They always come
Yeah.
in. Yes, there's a delay in moving those forward. Yeah.
All right, so we're up to number 10, reports of committees, policy committee, does policy committee? have
Policy
anything?
committee meeting was canceled because of snow.
Oh. Snow?
Snow.
All righty. Operations committee, anything additional to report out?
No, nothing further.
All right. Curriculum instruction and assessment committee, Dr. Hirsch?
That committee will meet at our next March workshop.
Okay.
The topic being artificial intelligence, and we'll get a extensive briefing from Dr. Goss.
Wonderful. Liaisons to town committees, and does anybody have anything to report out?
I just have one minor thing.
Sure.
I just want to thank John Delaventura for allowing me to be the new liaison for land acquisition. I've been to 2 meetings. I'm very much enjoying it. Everybody's lovely and I find it very fascinating. So I didn't know I would.
I actually think it's important to kind of, cycle through different board members as
Yeah.
well with some of
Yes,
these
it's
committees.
really
So
important.
Yeah.
Glad you're serving.
So I
Thank you.
appreciate that opportunity, John.
Likewise.
Absolutely.
All right, and we don't have a liaison right now. For Learn. Number 11 is public comments. This does not need to be on the board agenda. If anyone in the public has a comment they'd like to address the board, they're welcome to come to the podium. Please give your name and address. And please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to address the board? Come on up. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Yuta Yeoman, address 70 Ruggles Road here in Guilford. I'm going to keep this very short. I'm a parent in the Guilford public school system, as well as a professor of psychology at Yale. And my main area of research is adolescent mental health, depression and anxiety. And the reason why I wanted to address you, and I know you've discussed this before, just wanted to bring this again on the agenda, is school start times. There's a lot in my work where we have to say it depends, but when it comes to school start times and mental health, as well as physical health, as well as grades, there really is nothing that depends. The research is very, very clear. It's so clear that the American Academy of Sleep Medicine has said that 13 to 18-year-old adolescents need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. That it's actually very bad for them if we go under 8 hours. And this has led many school districts, I think over 500 school districts, to change school start times. I have 2 children in the public school system here, a 5th grader and a high school freshman. And so with the high school freshman, this came back to my experience. And I've talked to many parents now. I've also talked to many students. My daughters have talked to students, and it seems across the board very clear to the parents. My daughter's bus currently picks her up at 6:40, which really means a 5:30 wake up time for her, getting ready for school and everything. Again, I'm very happy to talk a little bit more about the data. I know you've looked at this and have discussed this at some point. I would love to suggest to maybe put a working group in place to really review this. I know there's lots of it's a big change, so there's lots of things to keep in mind, and lots of circumstances that you have to really explore. But this is absolutely worth it. It's a big investment, not just into the academic performance of the children, but also depression and anxiety rates. And we're talking about children that do not have a clinical disorder. If you look at children who already have trouble with learning, who already have heightened anxiety or depression scores, this is even more of a problem. I just wanted to say again, there's more than 500 school districts who have done this. There's Florida and California who actually mandate that secondary schools start at 8:30. And all of the studies that I've looked at, and again, there's really no studies that show the opposite. If you just go from 8 to 8:30, it has a huge impact on all of those outcomes. And we're at 7:40 right now with our high school.
Thank you.
So thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I also just wanted to offer a quick comment in support of Dr. Norman's comment. So my name is Melissa Ferguson. My address is 77 Broad Street. I have 2 kids who are also in the Guilford schools, and I'm also a psychologist, but I work on different topics than Dr. Yorman. I just wanted to very strongly echo all of her comments on the need to seriously consider an earlier a shift from this earlier start time to a later start time. And I guess in particular to advocate for a working group to consider the potential obstacles to shifting the school time, because I understand that there are some, it's very complicated, lots of things to consider. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on in.
Good evening, everybody. Daniela G. Giordano, 641 Peddlers Road, I have to remember my address. I was not going to speak, and I happen to also work in behavioral health. I'm a social worker. I work more on the systems issues, but I've had these conversations with my children. They are going to be freshmen this coming year, and I can't believe that yet. But I do believe too, like, I'm trying to get my kids to bed at a certain time. One child is better than the other when it comes to that. But I do believe, and I love it, I'll catch with you later, in terms of really letting science really take the lead in that. And I do understand some of the conversations about what happens after school. My kids are also involved in sports and extracurricular activities, but it seems like that it really would be great timing to really start talking about it more specifically about what that might be able to look like here in Guilford. So thank you for giving us the time, and it seems like we're converging together here. But thank you for all you do on a regular basis, being on a board. I used to do policy, so statutes is like my thing. But I know that this sometimes is really tedious work and sometimes really hard work, especially on the budget. But really thank you for all that you do, whether it's administration, staffing, or on the board.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to address the board tonight? All right.
As board member, we can make a comment.
Sure.
Some comments? Sure.
I would like to ask if we could create a task force, and what would that take to have a working group specifically on this topic?
It'd be similar to what we did most recently around the cell phone policy. And I think historically it's something we did 7 years ago where we brought together a task force. We've got some real resources in the community, I think, that we could tap, who could bring some expertise to it. It would be very important to have some really strategic participants who understand the logistical challenges from the school side, as well as some professionals and community members who understand the benefits from the medical science side, so that we can have a fulsome conversation.
Right. All right, so the last item on the agenda is an executive session on pending legislation, which we added to the agenda at the beginning of the meeting. I'm sorry, litigation. I'm literally having trouble speaking tonight. Let me start that again. Executive session on pending litigation. There we go. This is will be an executive session in which we invite Dr. Freeman. This will be very brief. When we come out of the executive session, there will be no further discussion nor any votes taken. So can I please have a motion to exit into executive session? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right. Thank you very much. Good night.